Hello, everybody, and welcome to your last best year. I am your host, Dave Farrow, the head of Farrow Communications, and I'm just going to give a couple of minutes to have everybody get started and sign on. And we're going to enable a few things. All right. How is everyone doing today? All right, we're going to give it a few more minutes for people to come in. What we're going to be talking about today is what I call your last best year as an author. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have a couple of trends that are converging. And I talked about this in my video recently, but if you haven't been following, the two trends I'm going to be talking about are going to be the AI trend, and it's also going to be what trends I'm seeing in publicity. So AI right now, I believe, is really poised for a bubble burst. What does that have to do with authors? Well, there are a number of tremendous opportunities for authors, and I think they're going to disappear or become really expensive by the end of the year. In this call, I'm going to show you, I'm going to bring up my own ChatGPT and Sora accounts. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, what we're doing for our clients. But the long story short is the best way to think about this is if you remember what Uber was like in the early days. Anybody remember taking a $5 and a $6 trip on Uber? I know I didn't say 6, 7. The meme reset has happened. I don't know what that means, but a younger person told me to say it. But if you remember what it was like to take a $6 trip on Uber, you also realize that after they kind of defeated cab drivers and cab drivers were no more, then all of a sudden the prices went up. Lo and behold, the same thing has happened in many businesses. So the reason why it was so cheap in the beginning is because it was propped up by investor dollars. Now we're seeing the same thing with AI. AI is not going anywhere. It's not going to be leaving, but it is definitely. I'm going to post a comment here to see if anyone sees it. If somebody can comment and let me know if anyone sees my comments, and you can join in and go from there. So the thing that's happening with AI is that it is propped up. Oh yeah, hey James. All right, so we are good. Sometimes when I start these things, I don't really know if anybody's watching. I got the ticker up there that says a bunch of people are watching with their eyeballs, but you never know. So I appreciate a little response. At any time throughout this webinar, you guys can ask questions. It's the reason why it's live and not just a recording on YouTube. So thank you very much, everybody. All right. So the premise here that we're going to talk about is that AI is propped up by investor dollars. If anybody's ever seen, that Forbes chart, kind of that Venn diagram about how NVIDIA is paying Microsoft, which isn't paying ChatGPT or OpenAI, and they're paying NVIDIA, and the money's kind of circulating around, and somehow they're coming up with $1 trillion in revenue, but it's just the same dollar being circulated around. So there's lots of reasons to think that AI is going to be a bubble bursting. The reason why that's important is because just like Uber, when it does burst, and I think it'll be this year that we'll see some bursting effect, like the amount of commitments that these companies have is immense. There's no way that they can fulfill on $1 trillion in commitments. It's crazy. So when it bursts, there will still be a ChatGPT. There will still be AI services. There will still be a Sora or something like it, things like that, a Gemini, the AI on your phone. But all of a sudden, the price is going to go up. So right now, for example, if you're making a Sora video, it costs very little. I mean, our account, we have a professional account, and we're paying a monthly fee. I don't even know off the top of my head how much it is, but we get almost an unlimited number of videos for that. There was an investigative journalist that found out that it costs something like $5 to make a video. And I'm not sure if they were thinking of, you got to render a few of them to find one that you like. So maybe it's $1 per video or something, but we certainly aren't paying $5 per video. And all the AI slop that you see online, it's kind of because of that. It's because it's so free. So what's going to happen is all of this generative AI is just going to become much more expensive. I think it's going to happen very quickly. Just like now, when I take an Uber across the city, it costs me $40 and not $6, right? So I'm going to tell you how you can use AI right now to do something that it is finally very good at doing. This is the irony, is that it is finally really reliable at stuff. Oh, and hello, Stephanie, and and Kevin, Kaz, James. Thanks so much for responding. So AI was terrible at a lot of this generative stuff when it came to authors, because it kept on making mistakes and hallucinations and everything. And I can tell you that the latest renditions have become a lot better. You still have to proofread your stuff, but it's so much more intuitive, so much better. So I would say the quality of the content is much higher. I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my book, Brain Hacker. And I suggest you do this with your book, and even my team at Farrow Communications can do it for you as well, if you want to talk about that in a call. But long story short, we can create a bot that turns tiny excerpts from your book into hundreds of different scripts for videos and other posts. And these scripts can then be put into another AI to actually generate videos about your product. So one of the models that I will use when talking about this, we'll get into the AI a bit more a little later on, but the other point I want to create, because I'm trying to stay general and then I'll get more specific in a bit, but I'll get into details of how we do this later. One of the other things is that media is really changing. There is a lot more sponsored content. There's a lot more pay-per-play. There's a lot more issues around really getting the quality. There's a lot of gatekeeping around some of the higher levels of PR. So we regularly get our clients on Forbes, Inc., Business Insider. I've personally been on the Today Show and the New York Times. And the media is starting to kind of be taken over by a lot of the investor class, and they're being much more cautious, or at least their plan is to become more cautious in the next couple of years. So right now, we've found that we can book clients in some very high-level PR positions purely on an organic pitch. That is, we earn that media for you. We don't pay for that media, and we've gotten people in Forbes and Business Insider and all that sort of stuff without paying, but by doing a really good pitch. And I fear that window may close in the next, I'd say, about 2 to 3 years. So this year could be the best time for you to not only create content, to really maximize your social media accounts, and it also could be the best time for you to get PR. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. Are there any questions before we begin? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dave Farrow. I have run Farrow Communications. It's backwards when I see it on screen, so it's like a massage to my dyslexia. I just love it like that. So I run Farrow Communications, have for the past 12, 13 years, and have a great team. Shout out to Arden and Malika and Chait and everyone else on the team, and Sherry. And what we do is we get PR and marketing for a number of businesses, startups, and of course, authors. We help you get your book and topic known. Now, the reason why PR is so important, and I will get back to the AI stuff and everything, but I want to follow this structure that I have here. So follow with me. At any time it seems like I'm going off the rails, I'm looking at, I've got a chart, I've got a set of things I want to do, but I have to give you some preliminaries so some of this stuff makes sense. I can't just jump right into some of the juicy stuff and show you that, because it won't make sense in context. Okay. So the reason why authors do need PR, and they always will, is because a book is, hey, Chait, thanks for joining. A book is a unique product, right? And I mean, how do you catch a rare bird? You sneak up on it, right? I'm a dad. I can do a dad joke. But the way books work is books are essentially you telling a story. And I swear, even if it's a self-help book, you're still telling the story about how you're going to help them. Okay. So it's absolutely essential that you understand that you're a storyteller. And even if you're in in a self-help, if you're talking about real estate or whatever, you're still telling the story of that industry and of that business. So the reason why this is important is because no one's going to buy the book unless they buy the story, unless they like your story. And so people have tested this a lot. They've done Facebook ads and other things, and very mixed success. Most of the time, ads do not work when it comes to selling books, not in the same way that they work, selling cars, selling hamburgers, things like that. And the belief is that the only people who will buy your book are the people who have a relationship with you. They feel a connection to you. So when you're in this situation and you want to sell as many books as possible, you have to get your story out. You have to get your story seen by as many people as possible. And it's so important to tell that story in the media. That's the long and the short of it. So podcasts are really powerful, where you get to tell your story. Television, even radio still around, or satellite radio, and the podcast kind of replaced radio. And even influencers, blogs, articles. You get to tell your story. So when people see that, they see not only the book, but they see the person who wrote the book, and then they're much more likely to buy from you. Hey there, Debbie. So that's why PR is really important. That's why it's so coveted. The other side of it is when you get PR, you get a lot of SEO, that's search engine optimization for us old folks. And I am older than I look, I hope. So the search engine optimization has changed in the last few years. This is why this year is so important, because it's only been a couple of years since Google changed everything in how it judges search engines. So if you don't know much about search engines, don't know much about websites, I'll be a very, very basic concept. Google was the first to search. So it used to be back in the day, like Yahoo and back in the days of dial-up, if you wanted to search for a website, you would search keywords. So I'm searching for cars or something like that, and then the website that had the most number of keywords would pop up in the list. And people were actually, and I remember this happening, that's how old I am, people would actually take the keyword that they want and they would put it in white lettering on a white background and just put tons of them on the page, so that when the website like Yahoo or whatever crawled it, they would find like a million the word car over and over and over and over and over, just so you could rank high for car. And Google came in and changed all that by making it all about other websites linking to you. So Google says you're important if another website connects to you. So if my website mentions your website, then all of a sudden your website is seen as more important. Does that make sense? So recently, just in the last few years, there has been a revolution in SEO that is just as powerful, that no one's talking about. This first revolution, by the way, created Google. Like, it's the reason why Google defeated Yahoo and all the others. Ask Jeeves was a big thing back then. Even, man, I'm really dating myself. Jeez. I'm a 90s kid. Anyways, despite all my rage, still just a rat in a cage. So what has happened recently is Google has prioritized all the websites on the internet. So gone are the days where if I just list your website on my website, all of a sudden your website is going to get an SEO boost. Now it's, if my website is a high ranking website, it's considered an authority, then I list it on your website, then you get the SEO boost. Okay. So when they did this because tons of people were creating thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually, in some cases, fake websites that had fake articles that were written by AI, of course, and they were listing people's websites just for SEO purposes, and all of those tricks just went away almost overnight. Because Google ranked all of the websites on the internet, gave it a number. It's called an authority ranking. You can look this up. So why is this important? Well, all of the websites that are at the toppest, the toppestest. All of the websites that are at the top of that list are the media. So whether you're right wing, left wing, center wing, libertarian, communist, whatever it is, whether it's media about fashion or travel, even, or like very, niche media, either way, all the websites that were media based are much higher than every other place that you can put your website. And the reason is that media is the last trusted source. The idea is, if you are good at what you do, if you are an expert, let's say you wrote a self-help book, right? And you want to be the next Tony Robbins. if you are truly the next Tony Robbins, right, then ABC News is going to want to talk to you just like they did Tony Robbins. Does that make sense? So there is this vetting procedure that is hard to do. And as long as it's difficult, then it will have value. So I believe in PR long term. I believe every author needs a publicist. If you're watching me right now and you're paying attention to this, you need a publicist, because you need somebody in your corner trying to get you in the media in an organic way, in a real way that will last, that will stay, and that will be very powerful. Good organic media stands the test of time. When you're on a show, you can mention that 10 years later and it still helps. And now, according to Google, if you're even in a podcast or whatever, and they list your website, then you can use that listing for the next 10 years or so, because it doesn't look like this is going to change. The reason why we're going with the media as the source is because it's the fifth estate. It is even today in today's jaded culture with bias left and right, even today the media is still the best we've got, the best chance we've got to tell whether or not somebody is real or fake, basically. So if it takes effort to get into a media outlet, then you are seen as more valuable. You're getting past that velvet rope. And the Harvard Review actually did a great article on this just last year. It was this huge response. It was covered, of course, in the media. And they said that one way to get the media attention, if you're the Harvard Review, is to say media is good, by the way. That's it. This story went everywhere. So the Harvard Review did the study, and it was a real study, and thousands of websites, they were selling stuff. And long story short, the ones that had media logos on them, the conversion rate was 48% higher than the websites without the media logos, everything else being equal. So when you see something that says as seen on Wall Street Journal, as seen on, TV or something, that definitely is a credibility that is unmatched. And the reason is that anybody can put up a website. Anybody can make something nowadays. You can 3D print products, for crying out loud, right? You never know if something's a knockoff. So the last best hope we have is to have a third party validate who you are. So as an author, that makes a huge difference, especially if you're trying to build a platform and you're trying to get a publisher or trying to get a larger audience. The algorithms all listen to that, all listen to your SEO. So it's not just affecting your SEO for your website. This actually affects the SEO for AI, if AI is going to talk about you. And that's something we can talk about later if you guys are curious. And it also affects, how social media posts your stuff as well. And we're going to talk about that as well. So PR is king. PR is really important. One of the things that we do is we pitch the media stories that are trending. So we go to media outlets and we say, hey, this is trending on Google. A bunch of people are watching it. This group of people, this demographic in the workplace is struggling with this. Have our expert talk about it. And by pitching the story and then telling the media, hey, there's people searching for this story, there's traffic on this story, that is the perfect combo to get bookings. And as a result, we, according to our data, we get about double the number of bookings of your average publicist. So I'm going to move on to talking about how media has really changed recently. But if you are curious about that, feel free to, in fact, I'm going to give my email address. You can email me directly. Anybody who's on here, you deserve to email me if you want to. All right. And, oh, excellent. There we go. So feel free to email if you have any questions, but if you are interested in a discovery call to go deeper into your topic, we can definitely do that. So how has media changed recently? Well, a lot of people know me as the memory guy as well. If you don't know that as well, my claim to fame is that I'm listed in the Guinness Book of Records twice for my memory. I got the certificates right there. It's so backwards. So I memorized 59 decks of cards all shuffled together on the Discovery Channel. And of course, that led to a lot of press. The thing that people don't know is it led to a lot of press for about a week. And then I was old news. And I was really stressed out because you can't build a whole business based on a week. So that's when I got into this kind of story pitching. And I can tell you that when you actually do get a decent amount of publicity, The results are fantastic. If you're a speaker, you can double your speaking fees. I mean, you can't really even get to a decent speaking fee of, like, say, even over $5,000 or $10,000 per talk without having some publicity say that you are who you say you are. So when I did that, I realized that I really became obsessed with publicity because it was the way to sell my courses. And I sold about $8 million worth of memory courses so far. We have a new course coming out, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff I'm doing with AI to make that really exciting. You're going to be the first to see it, so you can say, that you saw it when. And at the same time, I started combining memory techniques and the art of PR into one thing that we call memorable marketing. So I'm going to share a couple of memorable marketing strategies with you here. And oh yeah, thanks for the feedback, guys. That's awesome. All right. So in the next 2 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you a couple of key memorable marketing strategies that I have that I use all the time. And then after that, I'm going to dive into what we're doing with AI. But at any time, feel free to ask any questions. You guys have any questions yet? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's jump into it. Okay. So one of the first things that you want to understand is that there's a memory and then there's a pre-memory. What's the distinction here? So let's say you're trying to get a hold of a very important person, a VIP, right? So this could be you're trying to get a literary agent to take you seriously. Or in our case, we are pitching the media all the time. So we're trying to get producers and editors and journalists to actually even read our stuff, right? And if they read it, we want them to respond. So there is a pre-memory situation that is what they think of you, what their assumptions of you before they even click on something based on everything else that they see. So what you want to do is make sure that your material, when you're pitching them, is not super jarring. It's not something that makes them feel like you don't get it. You don't understand it. One of the best examples I've seen with literary agents, they all complained that everybody who was in young adult fiction was saying that they were the next Harry Potter. And it was like, everybody can't be the next Harry Potter. Be your own thing, right? And I personally know of an author who got several responses from literary agents by saying, I am definitely not the next Harry Potter. This is something new. And this is all the literary agents responded because they were so tired of seeing that same thing. So be aware of the world that you're diving into with this. So in this case, we are diving into a world. I'm going to talk mostly about PR. So when we're pitching the media, what we want to do is dive in and understand that they are thinking of a show that they're on. You're not jumping in and you're pitching these people just saying how great you are, right? It's all in context for the show. So one of the first things that we do, this is the memorable marketing technique here, is we use visual language to describe our client on the show whenever possible. So let's say it's a television show, right? And we might use language in our emails that say, when, let's say my client is Bob. I don't know. If your name's Bob, that's awesome. Say hi. We'll use language saying, I can't wait to see the chemistry between Bob and your show host, Sherry, or something like that, right? Or, I think Bob would look really good sitting in that chair, giving some great tips or something. You use the phrasing as opposed to, are you interested in having Bob on the show? Does that make sense? As opposed to that phrasing. And the reason is that if I can get you to visualize Bob sitting in that chair, which I can by just saying it, you don't even know who Bob is. You might have pictured someone sitting in a chair when I said it, because our brains are very responsive to this information. So if I can get you to visualize Bob sitting in that chair, then what happens in the brain is your brain thinks it's already real. It's already true. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. This is one of the reasons why there's a gambler's mentality. If you visualize that you might win at the lottery, your brain on some level thinks you did win because it visualized it, because it has a memory of that. Now, that memory is fake. That was just made by your imagination, but your subconscious doesn't know it. So it thinks it's actually real. And that's why a lot of gamblers keep on trying again and again, because they keep on visualizing this success. And there's a whole bunch of other times where I talk about it in my book about how Whenever you visualize something on some level, your brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what is actually visualized. See, someone's trying to get a hold of me now. So actually, the best example of this is movies. So when you are watching a movie, we all have the ability to look at the movie. There could be a great actor on the screen, and they could be brilliant at what they do, and you're convinced that they're a homeless person because that's the role that they're playing. Even though you know they make millions of dollars, you can still cry or get emotional or something based on what you see on the screen. And the reason is because that brain, that we love that storytelling aspect. So whenever possible, in your emails, not just to pitch the media, but to pitch anybody, talk about yourself presently there. Talk about it in visual language. I've had some people who talk about how they love wearing their plaid vest, and then they say something like, "Hey, I can't wait to show your audience my new vest," or something like that. And it's just enough to get people to think of that. Okay, I won't beat a dead horse about that. The media really responds to stories. There is an old saying that I was taught by a mentor of mine that information informs, but stories sell. And I would also say that the media wants to hear stories from you. It doesn't want to hear just information. So when you're talking to the media, and this is also good if you're talking to any sort of a joint venture partner or anything like that, when you're talking to them, you want to use terminology that is talking about your story or the story of your customer. Almost every little tip. The reason is, like, if I gave you a question like, how can I sleep better, or whatever the tip is, if you just give me the information, honestly, I can look that up. I can probably get AI to give me just as good an answer, right? So why am I talking to you? It's because all of us human beings, we want to get a connection. Maybe a couple of us don't. Maybe a couple of us don't like people, but for most of us, we want to get a connection to somebody, and we want to hear from that person, want to hear your opinion. The best way to do that is in the form of a response. So I don't respond to the question, what's a brain hack for sleeping, better sleep, by saying, oh, well, you do this, and then you do this, and you do this. And I respond by talking about someone who had horrible insomnia, and it was affecting their life, and talking about myself, maybe when I had bad insomnia, which I have had very bad insomnia from time to time, and what to do about it. And then I talk about the hack, and boom, it makes a much more powerful connection. The way you do this when you're pitching as well is, keep in mind in your emails and your content and any of your pitches, you have to talk about the story, the journey, and also say that that story and that journey relates to whatever audience you're trying to talk to. The other thing I would also say is, you want to reduce your message to one feeling. You cannot be the grief person at the same time as being the hope person or the motivational person. This is probably the biggest mistakes I've seen in self-help authors or nonfiction authors, is like, every one of us, I understand every one of us is unique, and we have a whole journey in our lives, and there's so much going on. But at the end of the day, we can't be everything in one interview. We can't be everything in one pitch or one email. So pick one feeling that you're trying to get across. Maybe you're trying to get across just power, and you're, in business and dynamic and all that. Or maybe you're trying to get across, heartfelt vulnerability or something like that. Pick one feeling that you're trying to get across in one story. If it's kind of part of a phrase I say a lot, is you can't sell two things at the same time. Just pick one of those things that you're trying to pitch. And then as we do in our email marketing, for example, then, a week later, you can send another email and try again with a different feeling, right? But the biggest mistake I've seen authors do, is they try to say, oh, my book has everything. It has this, it has this, it has romance, it has drama, there's scary moments, there's heartfelt moments. And it's like, it may very well have that, but just pitch one of those at a time, because you have to be able to be put into a bit of a box in order to be sold by them, in order to be packaged. And the final memorable marketing tip, and I also have a flyer about this. If you email me, I'll send you the flyer on this, and it'll be on the recording as well as a download. The last memorable marketing technique is novelty. So the way memory works, the reason I was able to get in Guinness Book of Records and everything is, I do not have a fantastic memory naturally. If I don't do my brain hacks, I actually have a very poor memory, and I'm very honest about that. But I experienced a lot of stress during COVID, for example, and I lost a lot of my structure and techniques, and it took me a while to train myself to get back into it. So mindset is everything, and I'm living proof. But when you train your brain, you can become sharper than anybody in the room. There's tons of data on this. It's not just my own anecdotal experience. Your brain is very malleable. So when I talk about memory training and memory techniques, novelty is absolutely key. Novelty is what makes a memory stick. So ask yourself, what is novel about you? And if anybody's getting caught in the words, I'm not talking about novel as in you wrote a novel. I'm talking about uniqueness. But uniqueness is a weird word, so I use the word novel. There is a principle in the brain where it pays so much more attention to something that is different or unique than something that is ordinary. If I have a row of apples in front of me and all of them are red and one of them is green, you're going to immediately look at the green one. That is our human nature. It's actually, there's a filter in the brain called the reticular activating filter or reticular activating system as well that does this. And there's all sorts of reasons for it, but essentially it's a survival mechanism. If you were a hunter-gatherer 100,000 years ago and you did not notice the tiger tracks in the ground, then you were the first to get eaten. Right. So our brains are tuned to see what's different and what's unique. When it comes to marketing, this is on overdrive. We get so many messages all the time. You really have to drill down to what's unique about you. And this goes back to what we were talking about before, but don't try to be everything. Don't try to be every feeling and every emotion. Be one thing and be really, really tight about that one thing. So when we pitch, the most successful pitches are usually talking about some very specific targeted thing. Like there's multiple generations in the workplace for the first time. That was one of our big pitches that just really took off. But it was a specific situation that one type of person was experiencing. We can feel like we want to have a story that appeals to everything, and we want to have this big broad general appeal. But look at the top viral YouTube videos. They're all about here is this one key thing that everyone else is missing, right? So figure out what is your one novel approach. For us, we do marketing, but we're adding neuroscience to it, right? And that's the novel approach, is we're adding more psychology and more neuroscience to our marketing to make it more effective. Love to tell you how. That makes it interesting. Am I just that? Is that the only thing going on in my life? Hell no. You have no idea. I'm building a castle. Ask me about that later. But there is so much going on. I could go into all these different things, but a marketing message has to be really streamlined and tight. And then once you engage with a client, or once you talk to your publisher or literary agent, of course you can expand. Once you're on the podcast for an hour, of course you can expand. But it's getting past that gatekeeper. You've got to be really, really tight. Be novel and unique. Focus on one emotion. Find out what your biggest one is. Like, do you want to know, when I sold about 100,000, a little over 100,000 copies of my memory courses in the early 2000s, or leading up to we kind of petered off around 2014. And then I did more PR, and I still speak and we still sell courses, but I'm coming up with a new course now. But I started off trying to teach people, and I was a young guy, but I was trying to teach older people how to train their brain to be less forgetful. And I ended up, the people who purchased my course more than anyone were women between age 45 and 50, literally just that tiny window, who had a husband who was forgetful and a child, usually a son, that was in their final year of high school going into college. That was it. And it's so precise. But as it turns out, there are millions of those people. And when I found out precisely who was getting the course, then I could change my marketing, and it just went like crazy. So target, and then also let your clients tell you who they are targeting. All right. Moving on to some of the PR. Our way of doing this pitching is organic. That is, we are still able to pitch organic PR to media. So what does that really mean? There's a lot of PR out there that is pay per play, and we actually have some of the best prices for pay per play. If you want to get into a major magazine, if you want to get into some industry industry event or industry target, even some television, we can probably do kind of a one-off. Talk to us about it, and we'll let you know if they're within our network. And there are some media outlets that essentially they sell off some of their excess space, but it's not their prime real estate. You're not going to get the cover with that, right? That's only going to come through earned media, and earned media generally stays up longer. So the ones who become our PR clients on retainer, we pitch them and get earned media. That is, we do not pay the media outlet anything, but they do it because it's such a good story. And that's how we do the figuring out the story, the demographic, and then we do all of our memorable marketing techniques for that. That window may change in the next like 3 years or so, and it's probably going to turn into more of a hybrid model. Now companies like us we're still going to have our connections, and we're still going to be able to get a lot of earned media, but new people trying to contact the media and new PR firms are going to be really, really stuck, because there's this kind of closing of the gates because of investors, and they don't want to let new people kind of through the door. So this year could be your year to get all that publicity. Like I said, I was on the Today Show. I was on the Today Show over 10 years ago, but I can still say I was on the Today Show, right? I get up on stage. I'm going on a cruise next week, and I'm going to be on stage, and maybe I'll say I'm on the Today Show. And so that's a credential that never goes away. So I want that for you. But realistically, you need a publicist, and you need to have a really good organic PR campaign. So talk to us about that at farrowcommunications.com, and we can help you with that. The other thing that I'm going to cover in we're already on to 1 o'clock here, is AI. And I did get a message from a few of you that you have to get off around the half-hour mark, so there will be a recording of this, but don't go away, because you're going to want to have questions answered. So one of the things that I've been noticing is that AI has gotten better and better and better. I think everybody's noticed that. So it's finally gotten to the point where it can really create some very good content. Okay. So what I decided to do was to try using it, and I've been using it from the very beginning to try to generate more content for my book and for our clients' books. And now it's the latest versions, at least with ChatGPT and the new Sora, have really turned a corner. And I think all the other AI stuff is going to look terrible by comparison. So essentially, here is the strategy that I'm using here. So this is my book, Brain Hacker. Strongly recommend you get one. It's been selling fairly well, but please, if you do buy one, leave a comment, because we only got like a couple of comments, and one jerk is kind of lowering my ratio. So I want to get more positive feedback. So I wrote this book, and every single chapter is really written for ADD people. At the end of the chapter, I have a summary of all the hacks. So I have kind of my story, and then there's a summary of the hack. What I was able to do was create a bot in ChatGPT. And let me see if I can bring this up. I'm not sure if I can share it. I might be able to share the videos and not the bot, but we can edit this in later on, I think. So what I was able to do is you go into ChatGPT and you get a professional account, and you click on something called GPTs or cheap GPTs. And in there, you can actually create a new ChatGPT that is going to be customized to what you want to accomplish. And it's really powerful, because it's like you can create one AI that has a different kind of personality than another AI, and they're all valid and they're all powerful. So what I did was I found a couple of my favorite YouTubers that do explanations. And what really worked for me was to find somebody who talks the same way I do. I can't be a Mr. Beast. That's not my style, right? I can't be half of these people that are like saying crazy stuff, right? But I found a few good people that were really good at explaining things and kept things tight. And I simply said, I created a bot that said, I'm going to feed you several excerpts from books, and I want you to turn those into 8 to 10 minute scripts using the style of this YouTuber and this YouTuber and this YouTuber. And by the way, make it into a story and do this and give me the descriptions, et cetera, et cetera. So the result has been absolutely fantastic. I have 48 different scripts right now, and it's taken every little brain hack in my book and turned it into a 10-minute long script that works really well. All I have to do is read through it once to myself and make a few edits, and then I turn on the recorder and I read through it on the camera. And then it's really easy to edit. Chait, you can verify the last few videos have probably been fairly easy to edit because they all go in one go. I also strongly suggest you get yourself a teleprompter. The Elgato teleprompter is absolutely amazing. I'm looking at it right now, and I can do teleprompting and look you right in the eyes while I'm reading a script, although I'm not reading a script right now. Bad example. So what happens is you have the ability to, instead of slaving over all of this content, you have the ability to turn your book into tons and tons of content. And that is really what is necessary. The algorithms require you to post more stuff. It is getting very competitive. So you have to post a lot more content, a lot more stuff. So what we're doing is, for each one of these 10-minute videos, we edit it and we're posting it. And then I'm using another AI to create short reels based on that same content. Then I can take that same story and I can put it into Sora and create short videos of this content as well. And these short videos are going to be descriptions of how the hack works with little animation, things like that. So this is something that you can do right now. You could ask us for a consultation. I'll be happy to share it with you. Send me an email or contact us, and I can give you our guide and our flyer on it. But this could be the last real year where we're able to do this en masse. And I'm going to tell you what my plans are so you can see by the end of the year how they have turned out. Not only am I creating content for my book and turning it into approximately 300 different posts that we can post throughout the entire year, it's also content that's really high quality. There was a great author recently who was talking about the cycles of the economy, and he's the person who runs like a big investment firm, and he was talking about how China might be the next big currency. I didn't really buy it at the time, but he exploded on the scene because he had simple animation that described his book, and he had about 10 different animations that had a really nice narration to them. And that's something that cost him a lot at the time. It was, James, Chait, what was the video creation site? We're using Sora to do the video creation. Sora 2 is absolutely fantastic for creating the AI videos. But Chait, could you add in the comments? There's another AI that I don't have the link for right now that takes your short videos and turns them into clips. Okay, take care. Thanks very much for joining us. Oh, Elgato. Elgato is the brand of teleprompter, Martin, and I have their Elgato Facecam Pro as well as the teleprompter, and it's really neat. It's the only teleprompter that actually just turns into an extra screen on your computer. You plug it in to the port, and it becomes an extra monitor. So anything that you put on there, you can see. So you can read Google Docs and things like that as well. It's the best teleprompter I've ever seen. All right. Yes, Sora is the place. Yeah. So here's what I would suggest with Sora, and here's what I'm doing with my memory course, actually. So I have a bunch of footage that I was doing in association with a production around, yes, Kevin, a production around PBS. I was working on a production with PBS just before COVID hit and everything kind of went to hell. I got access to my footage, but the footage was kind of incomplete. Actually, I'll tell you what. I want to answer everybody's questions first before I get into it. Yeah, it's ELGATO, so Elgato, and it has a camera hub. Yeah, ELGATO, and that's the Elgato teleprompter, best teleprompter I've ever had. All right, that's great. Good questions, guys. So I had this great footage, but it wasn't enough for a course. And then I realized that what I was really missing is in memory techniques, you have to make kind of silly pictures in your head. And I realized that with AI, I could have AI make silly pictures for me. And the next generation of Sora, so Sora 2, is absolutely fantastic. So we have a few examples of just amazing stuff with Sora. I want to bring it up here. Well, tell you what, if you send me a link, I'll send you a link to it. We're gonna have it up on our courses soon. We're gonna have it up on YouTube pretty soon. But basically, let's say, for example, you want to memorize someone's name, like my name is Dave. If you visualize something like a wave knocking me over, then all of a sudden you're going to be much more likely to remember Dave. Does that make sense? So these powerful visuals are what we want to get into the habit of doing. If you do this when you meet people, like one person after another, you can memorize 100 people or so in a row. And I've done it myself, and I do not have a special memory beyond anybody else aside from being trained. So how do I teach this, though, is I can kind of forever just describe silly pictures, and I feel kind of weird describing silly pictures, but there's nothing like seeing it, right? So we're taking about 300 first names, last names, 300 men's names, women's names, and last names, and we're turning them into some links. And the best ones are going to turn into Sora videos. So I'll give you a great example. Someone named Rose has like roses coming out of her eyeballs. And someone named Robin turns into a robin and flies away. And someone named Smith, all of a sudden, his arm turns into iron and he becomes a blacksmith and starts hammering. So I'm able to do all these things and make all this amazing content, and it costs me next to nothing right now. And I honestly think by the end of 2026, the prices are going to jack up. So we are going to do this for languages as well. We're going to have several language vocabulary, and we're going to have your first 500 words in things like Spanish and French and Italian and stuff like that. And there'll be a link for each one of them. So all you'll have to do is watch it, and you'll be like, oh, that's funny, right? And it'll kind of stick in your mind, and then you'll remember the word, right? So by doing this, by using this generative AI right when it's at its peak, before the bill comes due, anybody who is an author can start creating tons and tons of content, and it's finally good content. The time of AI slop is starting to go away. So here's the process. Number one, create a ChatGPT bot. And this bot is going to make scripts for you, and also make scripts for Sora or whatever. You can also use Gemini if you like. There's a couple of other ones out there. Nano Banana is another one, it's an odd name. So, but make a ChatGPT bot that makes those scripts. And the reason why you want to make a bot do it is that you want to change the bot. You want to train the bot to make better scripts. Because let me tell you, the first time we did the image with Rose, it didn't make sense. It was this weird, like, Rose floating in front of her head type thing. So we had to change quite a bit of things about the prompt. But if you change the bot, then every prompt after that will be changed. And all you have to do is say, give me a link or give me a script for Sora for somebody named Michael now. And all of a sudden we have his head transforming into a microphone, right? So change the bot and use it to create 5 to 10 minute videos. And I know you want to create 1 minute videos, but let me tell you, if you make the 10-minute long content and then you clip out 1 minute from it, then people will know there's more to you, and they're much more likely to subscribe to your channel. So if you have a reel that has a section of a larger piece, you're gonna get more subscribes. That there's been a bunch of people that have shown that. So there's a little social media tip. So make 10-minute content, film it, post it, and then make short clips from there, short reels from there. And then when you want to make your Sora content, use it as a description. Take key plot points of your book and literally try to describe your book. Now, the first bit of pushback I get from authors is that they're afraid of giving everything away, right? And some authors don't have just a ton of stories. They don't have like 13 books to draw from, right? So they're afraid, hey, if I give away some of my good stuff, will anybody buy my stuff? And the answer is absolutely. There's so many people. Do you realize how many people buy books of a movie after the movie that the book is based on comes out? They already know the story. They know the plot point, but they want to buy the book to find out even more, right? So yes, if you give away the content, you will get more subscribers and you will get more people buying your book. The other thing also that you want to consider is that you could set up a Patreon. This is something that most of the authors at a low level that are starting out should have a Patreon, because you can get friends and family giving you funds. And then slowly over time, if you're doing your marketing right, you'll start to see people who are not friends and family donating to your Patreon. This is for the people who are like the starving artists. If you're a business person, like I don't think I would credibly go for a Patreon, because I run a successful business. So people would think, hey, you run a successful business, you don't need the money. But I've seen this strategy work really well for people who are like fiction authors, or you're not making a lot of money off of your content just yet. So you can use that to your advantage if you're at that stage where you're not making a ton of money from it just yet. So turn this content, use AI to make the scripts, speak the scripts in, and then take those same scripts and turn the plot points into these Sora videos and post about those. And the other thing is, if you can use AI to monetize your content in any way, it'll be very powerful. So of course, I'm creating the AI videos from excerpts from my book because I want to sell the book, right? But you have to sell a lot of these books to make $1 million, right? Like think of the royalties on a book, the costs, right? How much people to spend for it. But if I can get someone to buy this book and then they go online and they pay $50 for my vocabulary trainer or something like that, or they go and buy the names and faces course or something for, several $100s or something like that, then my profit goes way up. So think of different ways that you can use AI to create enough content for you to monetize this in a deeper way. And I'm also going to let you know about some of the resources that we have. In the last few minutes we have, you've stuck around, so please stick around for a few more minutes, please, to find out what we have to offer. If you are not sure about where to post your content, or not sure about, like, let's say where to make an online course or something like that, I have created brainhackers.com. You can go to brainhackers.com right now, and you can sign up and become a brain hacker. And that means that you get a free profile, you can write articles for the site, and you also have access to an LMS where you can post your own courses. LMS stands for Learning Management System. You can post your own courses and sell them right there on the platform. You can. We also have a shopping cart, and you can sell things on there as well. The goal is to get people this is mainly aimed at self-help authors. So people who are brain hackers. I believe anybody who's in self-help is a brain hacker, if that makes sense. So even like goal setting is a brain hack to me, right? It's just a modern term for self-help. So anybody who's in that position, I strongly suggest sign up for brainhackers.com. It's free right now. And also on that site, if you scroll down, you can also see what's called our casting call email list. And that is a list where once a month, we're going to send to everybody on the list a listing of our curated, what are called casting calls. These are journalists and outlets that have asked us for specific articles or experts to speak on a specific topic, fairly general. You'll get like lifestyle or fitness or something like that, or finance. And these emails come to you at no charge, and you just have to respond saying, hey, I'd be interested in this opportunity or that opportunity. And we can pitch that to them, or let you know if there's a cost to it or if it's free or something like that. So the casting call email, look at that on brainhackers.com, or you can also sign up to brainhackers.com. Now, if you want to go to the next level, if you realize that as an author, you need a publicist, you need to put as much time, money, and effort into the marketing of your book that you put into the, the writing, right? You spend a lot of time writing the darn thing. No one's going to know that unless you put the same amount of time, money, and effort into actually selling the thing. So take a moment and go on to farrowcommunications.com. In the top right-hand corner, we have a button. That's our offer button, and book a consultation. I would love to talk to you personally to go over what we can do for you, what the media can do for you, and also some of the new things that we're offering with AI. We can do a lot of these things for you, where we generate all the scripts for you if that's what you want, and we can talk about all those details if it's a little overwhelming. I realize I kind of throw a lot of stuff at you all at once. Contact me directly at dave@farrowcommunications.com. I can send you the flyer for today's meeting that talks about all the different memorable marketing strategies, and and book your consultation at Farrow Communications. I hope you're doing really well and you all had a wonderful new year. Are there any other questions in the last few minutes we have? Any other questions for any of the content that I have shared in the time that we've been here? Nope. I've made it all perfect, and there's no questions, no concerns. All right then. Well, I guess I'll just sit and relax for a little bit. I was joking, waiting for somebody to comment, but well, I did actually get a couple of comments and questions from people who said that they couldn't make it to the webinar. So one of the people that I was talking to was asking, what about? Oh, well, I got Debbie. I'll answer your question in just a second. There was a real question earlier. What about book signings? Are book signings still worth it? Are they valuable? And I was telling her that book signings are really valuable, but you should use it as an opportunity to post on social media and be completely honest. Oh, thank you very much, James. Be completely honest about your results. One of the most viral things that has happened, I believe it was last year, was a woman author in New York did a book signing and 2 people showed up, and one of them didn't even want a signature in the book. And she was so upset and so distraught. She posted on social media going, "Oh my God, I'm an author. It sucks to be an author. I bet you none of these big authors out there have ever, been to a book signing and no one showed up." And then like Neil Gaiman and Stephen King and all these big time authors, they all posted and shared her link everywhere saying, here's my story of the worst book signing I ever went to. And all these famous authors had book signings that nobody ever showed up to. But you know what? People are showing up online, and you can turn that into content. So this could be the video that made a video of a short presentation before signing it. It was a blast. That's awesome, James. Yeah. So what I would honestly suggest is see both options as a win. If nobody shows up for your book signing, then you film it and you talk about it and say, so when I do sell a bunch of these things, then I'm going to remember back to this and I've paid my dues. If tons of people show up, or if you have a bunch of good examples, focus on that and use social media, post it on social media because people want to hear about that. Now, Debbie, you asked, what does SEO stand for? This is search engine optimization. So, and this is really some of the things I'm talking about. When I'm doing a webinar like this, I don't know the audience that I'm talking to. So sometimes I can say SEO and so many people will know what I'm talking about, but some people might not. If you don't understand, please, by all means, ask a question. This is fantastic. So search engine optimization, that's when Google, or I guess there's still a little bit like Bing. Actually, the thing that's destroying Google right now is ChatGPT and other AI. So people are reading AI and they're not reading the Google results, and Google's trying to figure out what to do with that. So there's a delay on the chat. That makes sense. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your website is set up so that Google likes you. That's basically it. And you want to make it so that the AI likes you, so that it mentions you whenever your topic is brought up. So if you're an expert on tires, you want to make sure that when people search for tires in Chicago, because that's where you're located, that you're one of the things that come up during that search. And that's what SEO is all about, setting up your website so that you will come up for the searches that are relevant to you. So I want to come up for brain stuff, right? And PR in the Buffalo area, or nationwide. And other people want to come up for different topics. So that's what the SEO is there for. Are there any other questions? Anybody? You're very welcome, Debbie. That's awesome. Oh, I think I'm getting a question via text. So we're getting it everywhere. Lots of people doing stuff. Cool. All right. All right. So are there any final questions on any of this? Once again, this could be your best year. 2026 business is back. I was there during COVID when things were going down the tubes. They're going up and then down and then up and then down. Things have really leveled out. People are really looking for new content. PR is still very much alive and well. So if you want to book your consultation, book it now. And this could be your best year to take advantage of that. And then when it comes to social media stuff, the key is that so many people have just been posting random stuff, and you need to make your content about your actual topic. So posting stuff from your book, using your book as a tool, it makes a huge difference. Oh, hey, Scott. Great to see you again, man. You got to give me a call. And thank you very much for the nice comment, man. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well, man. And thank you very much, everybody. We're reached the end of this hour. We will have this up on brainhackers.com. Go to brainhackers.com and join and start your free account. Go to farrowcommunications.com and set up your discovery call. And I am going to be traveling throughout the Bahamas next week. So if you need to get a hold of me, book it a little later on that. If you see that all booked up, I'm as a speaker, I'm getting a free cruise to speak to a business group, the task group, with Tammy Levent, a great client and a great person. And if anybody is a part of that, then I look forward to seeing you there as well. I can tell you that I've been on both sides of this. If you're somebody who's just struggling to get known, struggling to get shown, the algorithm doesn't like you, there is a way out, but it has to be a strategy. You can't just make one or two posts and hope to God that it goes somewhere. You have to really get some volume, and you have to really get some clarity. So use this AI, use this year as your opportunity to create a volume of information that would take you years to write yourself and get it out there. And then when you do, please let me know what you did. If any of this advice has helped you, I appreciate you. And I'll just sign off by saying I'm Dave, the memory marketing guy. Don't forget me, because I won't forget you. You take care.